It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. I am your host, Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst. I'm also a certified financial planner. Yep, I still keep those three little letters, even though it's expensive every year and I've got to do all that continuing ed, but I will never, ever want to take that test again. So that's why I remain current. I am here with my executive producer, Mark Talercio, who is also a certified financial planner, trying to help you make better financial decisions. And if you feel like you need some assistance, you know what? It's just a few clicks away. Just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there is a button. It says Contact Us. You click the button, you write us a note. That's the email that we receive. If you would like to join us live on the program, all you need to do is just check a box. Mark does everything else. Now, while you're on the website, I want to encourage you to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every single Friday. I think it's a great way to kind of tune up for this weekend program. So please do that, and we'd love to talk to you. In fact, let's kick off the show today. We are going to the Pacific Northwest to Ellen. Welcome, Ellen. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's great to talk to you. Tell us what brings you to us.
Well, I am similar to other listeners, and I have been a longtime listener, and I found this to be really helpful. I am one of those compulsive savers and reticent spenders. And I really want to have a better understanding and have a plan so that I can make some of these decisions and feel confident about them, because I worry a little bit. And honestly, I think of it sort of as a muscle that is not well developed on the spending side. So I need a little assist on this.
That's great. By the way, everyone listening, if you're frugal, compulsive saver, anything, I'm very easily, I can help you spend. Don't worry. I love to spend. I'm not a compulsive spender, but I like to live life. And so, Ellen, tell us about yourself. First of all, how old are you?
63.
And are you still working?
Not at the moment. I have been a consultant for the last 10 years after taking some time off to raise my kids. But right now I'm on a little bit of a break from work.
Okay. And how old are those kids, by the way?
28 and 30.
Launched? Like, do you support them at all? A little bit.
Well, one not so much. The other one is just finished a graduate program. They both finished their graduate programs, and there's a little bit of a pivot professionally going on. So still somewhat, but hopefully not too much longer.
Okay. Are you still married? Are you divorced? Are you partnered? Are you what's up with you?
Happily married, and my husband is 67.
And is he retired, still working?
He retired 2 years ago.
Oh, and how's that going for him?
He loves it.
Okay, good. Does he say, "Why can't you let me spend more money, you compulsive saver, you"?
Sometimes, but he's very busy with a lot of board work and volunteer activities, and yeah, he has an admirable retirement.
Do either of you have pensions?
No.
How about Social Security? Did he collect at his full retirement age or not?
No, we have not done that. So that's one of the decisions. Well, I think we've pretty much settled on the idea that we'll wait until we're 70.
Okay.
But, one of the things that I'm worried about is, boy, suddenly we're going to have all this money, and then we have assets and RMDs and IRAs, and, it feels like there's going to be a lot coming our direction. I'm just trying to figure out what to do with all of that. And
okay. So let's go and talk about some of this stuff. So first of all, at your age 70, what will your Social Security benefit be? What will his be?
Mine will be 3,600 and his will be 4,800.
Okay, great. And tell us about the money that you have squirreled away, you compulsive saver. You. How about, let's do this. Can you tell us about your pre-tax, the money that has not yet been taxed in retirement accounts?
So we have 1.8 in my husband's IRA,
Mm-hmm.
450 in my IRA.
Okay. And those are the two buckets of money that have not yet been taxed that are earmarked for retirement. Now let's do the brokerage account. How much in the brokerage?
We have 2 million in that.
Oh my God. Look at you. Look
Mm.
at you go. Fabulous. What about house?
So we live in a, I need to preface this, otherwise it'll sound a little crazy.
Okay.
We live in an area where housing is fairly expensive.
Are you about to be like sheepish about the fact you own an expensive house?
Maybe.
Stop it. No one cares, and we've already changed your name. So let's move on.
Okay, so it's according to Zillow, it's about 4.7.
Okay. And is there any mortgage that remains on that?
We have a very small mortgage, 291, and the
Mhm.
interest is 3.5.
Okay. Do you guys have a second home?
No, we don't. See, this is one of the challenges where, we look around at people our age and we think most people have extra homes or extra this or that, and we don't. We just haven't done that. I sort of don't like the idea of having two of everything. So
Listen, it's not for everyone. My dad used to say that all the time. He's like, "Ugh, I don't want to think about it. I like one house is too many. Like it's a lot. It's a lot to manage for sure."
Exactly.
Is this a house that you guys can age in? Is this or would I mean, because you say Pacific Northwest and all of a sudden I've put you on a mountaintop with big stairs. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but do you feel comfortable staying in this house?
Well, no, we're not. I mean, we have lots of mountains around here, but we're really more, city suburb, near suburb location.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge is it's too much for us. It's too big. And the upkeep and everything. And so, but part of my challenge is that, any of these decisions that I would need to make, they all have big numbers, realtor fees and excise tax. And it just because of what we would be selling, I mean, it's all, thousands of dollars, which means it sort of paralyzes me in terms of making a decision.
I understand that because, look, I'm sure that this house is zoomed up in value. There's capital gains. It's like it's like a drag. But if we don't deal with this now, if it's way too big a house for you in your 60s, it's going to seem even worse in your 70s or 80s. We'll get back to Ellen in just a moment. If you have a question, it's so easy. All you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, which I'm sure by now you have bookmarked, and click the Contact Us button. Once you do that, we'll take care of everything else. Don't forget to let us know if you want to come on the air live. It is the Jill on Money Show, and we will be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we're here answering financial questions, life questions, transition questions, anything that's going on in your life that remotely touches a dollar. And if that is something that maybe gets you thinking, hey, I could use a little bit of help, or I could use a second or third opinion, give us a shout. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Now, we have been getting so many questions about the real estate market. Obviously, with the Federal Reserve action and the direction of interest rates and mortgage rates going down, more and more of you are reconsidering what your real estate options are. Now, if that's you, you should join us for our upcoming webinar, which is just in a couple days on Tuesday, September 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are devoting a webinar to the real estate market. We're going to have a mortgage broker. We're going to have a realtor. Mark and I will be there. You can only join us, though, if you are a member of Jill on Money Live. That is our subscription service where you have access to quarterly live webinars and special bonus content, all for the rock bottom price of $35 for a whole year. So check that out. I really think that the real estate market is going to be so interesting over the next few months and probably for the whole next year. So we are going to do a deep dive into the real estate market. Right now, though, we are going back to our listener, Ellen, who's on the line from the Pacific Northwest. Is there a way to make this house like, I was thinking of like my aunt and uncle have a house where there's a second level, but it's like literally shut off. Like they have nothing is up there. Everything's on the first level. Is there a way to make this house more user friendly for you in terms of like where you live and how you live in it?
We're in good health and I don't have a problem with stairs. I think it has more to do with the cost of just general upkeep.
Yes, I get you.
And watering it. And
yep, I got it.
It's more of that than anything else. I mean, I love our neighborhood, but I think I would, in general, like something that's a little bit smaller, doesn't require so much work.
Yep.
But the problem is that I like it here and I'm happy here.
Yeah. No, it's not a problem. It's all good. Okay. We're going to get back to the house in a second.
Okay.
All right. So right now, if I had to calculate with you how much you spend on a monthly basis, don't be your cheapskate self. Be generous with how much you think you need in just to be able to have every month.
Well, if I factor in things like vacations, which we do like to take.
Yes, factor everything in.
Yeah. I'd say about 15 to 17 a month. And that would be, like I said, just taking the cost of, 3 or 4 vacations a year and just.
And advertising it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you say you guys are entitled to pensions or no pensions?
No pension.
Stop it. Why did you do that to me? Okay, that's fine. So what you have is you have Social Security, which you will collect. You guys, you're some ways away. But for someone who says that you're a compulsive saver, you spend a good chunk of money. So, interesting how you describe yourself. So if you had to whittle down the fat expense number and give me the real expense number, do you have an idea of what that would be?
Oh, I think it'd be closer to, believe me, I could whittle it way down, but I would
stay in the house, but don't put in like $50,000 vacations. Like, what's the house, the living, but 1 vacation a year, not 3 vacations a year. What do you think that number is?
That's probably 10 or 11.
Okay.
I mean, we have a lot of, we don't have a state income tax.
Yeah.
So property taxes with the cost of the real estate is very high. I mean, It's $26,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. All right. So listen, $2,000 a month right there. Right. So, if you're a 10 or 11, and then you have eventually this 8,400, which will be taxable. We have some work to do right now, considering that you're not working. Do you think that you would like to be done working, or do you think you'll be going back to work eventually?
I would like to do something, but I was some of your callers have referred to themselves as one bad meeting away from retirement, and I have been pleasantly surprised about my contentment without working. That said, I work in technology and I enjoy it, but sometimes it's a little tricky I'm finding it's a little tricky as an older woman getting back into that. There's a lot of layoffs in this business. So that makes it a little bit challenging. So the short answer is I would like to, but I'm not sure I'll be invited back.
I hear you. Okay. So if you were not to work ever again, then we have to think about like how we're floating this life. So right now there is the only income is whatever is coming out of the brokerage account, right?
Right.
Okay. So that's the only income. So you have this unique period of time where we can pull the money out of the retirement accounts, and might be very helpful for you to do so. And if you think about it, if we're looking at, look, we're 3 years away for your husband, right? But, 7 years away from you, I would say that it would make me feel a lot better about, the future if, basically you take those IRAs, live off of them, and take the money out and pay the tax that's due. There's no state income tax, as you said. You can pull out up to $200,000 a year and stay in the 22% tax bracket. Okay. So, right. That's the top of the 22% bracket. That's what I would be doing. And what I might want to set up for you, just because I think you're a freak and you're not going to be able to spend the money. So the 450, is that his or yours? I can't remember who's who.
450 is mine. 1.8 is his.
All right. So let's attack his first. I don't know how it's invested, but I would say to whoever is managing this, or if you're managing it yourself, I would take this money and say, we're going to pull out $12,000 a month from this account. Okay. That's scary. You're paying yourself. Think of it that way. I'm paying myself, for God's sakes. I am entitled to this. You're going to have to pay tax on that money. But the reason why I'm picking 12 is that I figured that brokerage account is probably generating some income for you, right?
Yeah, it is.
Do you know what it looked like last year, just out of curiosity?
I don't have that information. I don't look at it that often.
So let's look at that just so you know how much to take out of the IRA. Okay. So it might be $9 a month. I mean, if you want, listen, I would be fine if you stayed as long as you stayed in the 24% bracket, that would be fine with me too. So if you took 10 grand a month out of his IRA and you do that every year until he starts collecting Social Security, and then you can probably take a little bit less and then keep going though. You still want that money out. You have more time, right? I would sort of say that there may be some notion in your brain like, oh, I want to actually convert my IRA into, you don't need to. You'll get money out of this account. You can just pull the money out on your own, because oddly enough, if you want to do like a bigger vacation, or you want to do that, we're going to have to pull the money from someplace. And, even if you said to me, you know what I'm going to do this year, where I have no income, you could pull out $200,000 from the account. And as long as you tell me you're going to spend it, I want you to think of the money that comes out of the IRA as your paycheck. That's what I want you to think about it as. Okay. And then you can keep doing that, and you can reduce it a little bit as Social Security hits, or not. I don't really care, honestly. We'll get back to Ellen, just one more segment with Ellen in just a moment. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com. That is our website, and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. If you've got a question, if something is going on, if you're considering a new job, if you're considering a new career, you're starting a new business, you're just starting your first new job, something that is conjuring up questions, Mark and I, Mark, the best executive producer in the world, and I would love to help you out. Again, we are both certified financial planners, so we love this stuff, and we mostly love talking to you. So go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get that note. If you would like to join us live, then just check that box, and Mark will arrange to get you on the air with us. That's what he did with Ellen. We are continuing our conversation with Ellen, who's on the line from the Pacific Northwest. What I'm hopeful for is that, you know, his account, we start to really pull money out of this before he has to, you know, you're going to be forced to, you're not going to pull 1.8 out in the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, but you'll get closer. And then his required minimum distributions will be lower. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have both of your Social Security checks, which you'll spend, his required minimum distribution, which you'll spend, and we'll have to see where tax rates are to see whether or not we choose to accelerate the money coming out of these IRA accounts or just kind of let it ride with required minimum distributions, or whether you want to turn to your brokerage account. It really depends on what happens with tax rates. I don't know where they're going to go. You know, we're going to have some kind of new tax rate system in 2026 because all these things sunset in 2025. So right. We know that something new, or maybe it's going to be extended. And maybe we say, let's get this money out right now because someone is going to have to deal with the tax situation, right? For now, you got plenty of money. I think the only way to get you used to spending is to give you a paycheck. And that paycheck is coming from the retirement account. And if that's the case, are you managing the IRAs or is someone else doing it for you?
I'm wondering, that's my other question is, I'm wondering, do we stay with them? Mm-hmm. Because obviously if they had to liquidate everything, then you've got all these capital gains and you create this big event. They're not really providing a ton of valuation to us or value add to us other than to say, hey, we've run the models and you're fine. Mm-hmm. They are trusted people and we appreciate that. But it's still, you know, it's $24,000 a year that they're taking as far as their management. And I don't really think there's much management going on.
How do you feel about either going to find someone else or doing it yourself?
I don't think I want to do it myself because it's too big a number and it's too important. And, you know, this isn't my business. Yeah. I mean, I understand certain parts of business. I mean, I've become more educated, but, you know, I also realize that it's probably important to have, you know, somebody else, a third party, because, you know, if things go terribly wrong, I don't want to be on the hook for that with my family.
Yeah. I think that what you're really talking about is that you're paying for asset management and you're not paying for financial planning. So what I'd like to do with you, Ellen, is encourage you to either talk to some of your friends and maybe potentially talk to somebody who can help you find a fiduciary financial planner. Do you have an accountant? Do you have a CPA that you work with?
We do.
You can ask your CPA for some assistance. Mm-hmm. If that does not yield someone who you feel good about, get in touch with us and we'll send you some names of folks because you are in great shape. We need to get you on some sort of regimen where you are entitled to feel like you can spend without blowing through your budget. And then you can also maybe even factor in, like, what would it be to try to find a smaller place? Like, we're fine with this house for the next 5 to 10 years, but gosh, we'd really like to have a smaller footprint. And right. And that you can take the pressure off yourself if you feel like there's a game plan. And I think that that's probably what's really missing in this is you have the money, you have the smarts, you need a game plan to help you get you where you want to go. And that to me is what's missing here. So I think let's ask for some referrals. We'll send you a couple names, or you can get back in touch with us after you've gone through your process. But you've got the money. You're in great shape. You don't have to feel like, you have to go back to work. And if something comes along, great. But I think that getting the money out of these retirement accounts, paying the tax that's due, not letting that pile up as a future problem is a really good idea. So It is my mission to get you to not be a compulsive saver, but to be a balanced spender. How about that? You don't even have to be compulsive, just balanced. And so let's get you there. All right. So did you do your estate planning? You got that done?
Yes, we have all of that, and we've allocated some gifts to colleges and universities that are important to us. So we've already included all that. Yes, and we shared the information with our kids so they have a good understanding. We've been bringing them along, for a long time. We never, we just really, we're not people who talk about money. So consequently, it's just not a big topic. But we realized that we were going on a big trip out of the country, and we said, hey, we really need to kind of bring you guys along and let you know where we are, and so that you're aware. And they were a little shocked, but they're coming along. So that's good.
Were they shocked that you have more money than they thought?
Much more.
I love that. That's a positive shock. So good for you. And I'm glad that you did that. So Ellen from the Pacific Northwest, we're going to let you go. We're going to get you on a spending plan. You're going to be very happy. I think once you have a game plan, you're going to feel much more confident about this next chapter of your life. So thank you so much for calling us. If you have a question, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the contact us button. While you're there, you can check out all the content that lives there. We have 2 other audio shows, 2 podcasts. We have a blog. We have videos. We have a link to our YouTube show called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. I think you'd like that a lot. It's all there for you on the jillonmoney.com website. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Right now, let's go to an email. This is from Larry. How can I make my wife more comfortable putting money into a high-yield savings account? I would like to use Marcus by Goldman Sachs. The account would be linked to our main account. Her concern is that they have no walk-in branches. Oh, that's so interesting. You know what, gang? I get this. There are people who are used to a certain way of conducting their banking, and so going fully remote is kind of weird. So if you have Marcus by Goldman Sachs or any of these online accounts, there are no walk-in branches, there's no ATMs, there's nobody who's working there. So everything is electronic. Ask her, well, what are you walking into the branch to do? Is it really important to be able to do that? If she really is not comfortable doing everything electronically, maybe have just a small account with some money at a local branch that she could go into, where she could talk to somebody. I don't know. That might be enough for her. And let me know if you'd like to bring her on the air. We happily would help to ease her mind. That's part of what we do here, gang. We help ease your minds. And we do that by making sure that you remember to send us emails or come on the air with us. It's a lot easier when we can do this in person. Because I think, Larry, for me, it's easier to ask her questions like that than for you. Okay, Jean says, I was just notified that I may lose my job next May. And I have a 403B with my employer. Along with other life challenges, I'm trying to prepare myself for the last few months of employment. I have started an emergency fund. I have a second job, and I was thinking of opening a retirement account with Ally, which leaves me to ask, what should I do with my 403B when the job is over? I was going to open a Roth IRA today, maybe do a Roth rollover later. My next job is unsure as of now, but working hard towards a decision. Well, Jean, here are the 3 basic options that you generally have when it comes to an old retirement account. Number 1, you can leave the account where it is, as long as the employer allows it. And sometimes that's a great option because if you have a good plan with low fees, it can be pretty easy. You know what the deal is. You just log into your old account, no problem. Number 2, When you get your new job, you roll it into your new plan. But as you said, you don't have your new job yet, so maybe that's an option that could be delayed if you just keep your money in your 403b. And number 3 would be to roll it over directly into an IRA rollover if it is, or a traditional account if you have already used traditional assets in the 403b, or a Roth account if that money that you have put into the account is post-tax money. All of this is to say, none of those options is a bad option. They're all very good options. I do think the priority should be having that emergency fund built up. I would even say that that is more important than funding a Roth right now. You didn't mention how much money is in the account. You didn't mention how much money you have elsewhere. But again, if you just started an emergency reserve fund, we really would love you to have 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in that fund before you even open a Roth IRA. Okay, this is from Anonymous, who is writing with a question around a pre-tax strategy generally and an NQDC more specifically. Let me just translate for everybody there. That is a non-qualified deferred compensation plan. And by the way, they sort of look a little bit like a 401k, but it is not a 401k. These workplace plans, they let you defer a portion of your salary into a separate account. So that's why it sort of feels like a 401k. You invested in different investment options. However, it's like a longer term employment agreement between you and your boss. So you can defer a portion of your annual income until some specific time in the future, and it could be 5 or 10 years or in retirement. But again, it's usually used as an executive extra retirement benefit because you have more money to put aside than a 401k limit. And so, by the way, the tax gets paid when you have the distribution later. So you'll recognize it as taxable income later in the future. This is from Evan, who writes, I'm 60 years old. My wife is 54. We plan to retire in 5 to 7 years. My wife is a teacher who earns $125,000 a year. I'm a loan officer. I make around $100,000 a year. We have about $800,000 in pre-tax IRAs and 401ks. My wife will get a pension of about $7,000 in 5 years, and my Social Security will be around $3,000. I think they mean per month, so $10,000 a month. Wow. Evan goes on to write that the problem we are struggling with is monthly cash flow. We own a home in Silicon Valley. It's worth about $1.9 million. We owe about $1.25 million. The rate is low on the first mortgage, but included in that total is $250,000 of home equity line of credit debt, and that debt is 8.5%. My solution is to sell the house and downsize to a condo. Do you see any other option, as my wife and I would prefer not to sell if possible? Well, this is a tough one. I mean, could you buy something with the proceeds and be in all cash? You live in a very high cost of living area. So if you have to go out and get another mortgage, maybe it's not going to work so well. The other question I have is, would it be possible? And this is not great, but it is a possibility. Could you take some loans against your 401ks and then maybe pay down some of this debt? I don't know if that's even going to work, and it certainly puts a lot of pressure on you guys, but I'd love to have you come on the air and talk with us further, because it's hard for me to know what is the alternative, because if you're going to sell, I don't know how much more the new place would cost, even if it were a condo, and what the cost would be to carry that condo. So get back in touch with us. I'd really like to hear more from you, Evan. If you've got a question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back. You're back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here answering your financial questions. If you have one, or even if there's something big going on in your life that kind of impacts your finances, give us a shout. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get your note. If you'd like to join us live, then just check the box and Mark will take it from there. And as a reminder, all of our content lives on that website. So whether it is old shows or podcasts, our free weekly newsletter, our subscription service, Jill on Money Live, where for $35 you have access to quarterly live webinars and special video content. That is all on our website, JillOnMoney.com. Don't forget, by the way, that next webinar is coming up just in a couple days, Tuesday, September 24th at 7 Eastern Time. This webinar is focused on real estate. And boy, is that market changing, whether it's about mortgage rates, the changes to realtor fees. There's so much to talk about. We've got a realtor, we've got a mortgage broker. Mark and I will be there, and you should be there too. Okay, to conclude the hour, let us do an email from Jerry, who writes, isn't a Roth better for liquidity than a brokerage account, since gains within a Roth would be non-taxable? Larry, I think you know how much Mark and I love the Roth account. So just a reminder for everybody that Larry's right, that all the accumulation of funds inside of a Roth are completely free of taxation, which is great. The withdrawal guidelines are as follows. So if you have a Roth IRA and you want to pull the money out, you have to make sure that account is open for at least 5 years. That's 5-year holding period. And as a reminder, if you're under the age of 59 and a half, you can always withdraw your contributions that you make to that Roth. So it's really the 5-year holding period and the money that you have put in. That is what you are able to pull out of a Roth. So good point from Jerry. All right, there's a lot more fun on this program. All you need to do is stay tuned. And during the break, maybe you want to go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and just bookmark it, because that way, whenever you have a financial question, you will be able to access us. All right, the Jill on Money Show will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we are here answering your financial questions. If you've got one, just go to our website. It's JillOnMoney.com. In the upper right-hand corner is the Contact Us button. Click that button, write us a note, and don't forget to let us know if you'd like to join us on the air live. Right now, let's talk to Howard from Virginia. Hello, Howard. How are you?
Fine. How you doing?
Great. What's going on? How can I help you?
My wife and I are turning 70 the end of this year.
You sound so spry. That's great.
Well, thank you.
All right. So turning 70.
Sounds can be deceiving, by the way. No.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I built my whole career on that. Okay. Okay. 70 at the end of the year. You're married. So you and your wife both, are you guys working right now?
We're both working. She has a full-time job. I'm kind of part-time independent contractor working for someone.
Okay. How much money do you guys make right now?
Combined, probably about 160 or 70.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. Well,
and then we've been saving for the last, I don't know how many, well, all the time. We're kind of frugal, but we've been saving for a number of years.
Do you think when someone says I'm frugal that I should just intuit you're a cheapskate, Howard? Is that really what you're telling me?
No, I'm not a cheapskate, but like I have a car that's, let's see, 12 years old that still runs, so I don't feel like I need to buy a new car until that car breaks down.
Me too.
That's what I mean by frugal.
But I'm not. I would never call myself frugal because I go out to dinner way too much. So like,
right,
you cannot
too.
be. You're right. So like I'm sort of cheap on the car thing because I don't really care. So what are you contemplating at the end of this year when you're both 70? You guys going to start rolling in the Social Security checks?
Well, my wife is currently collecting Social Security. She collected it 66. I'm waiting till I'm 70 to collect Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
So
What will that be at 70?
I would think that's probably going to be about 4,000.
And what's her check right now? Her
About
66?
2250, something like that.
Oh, wow. So when you gave me that 160, 170 total for income, did that include your Social Security checks?
I'm sorry, that did not conclude hers. So
Okay. So that was just your income from work.
correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. So $22.50 a month is what she gets now. You will get $4,000 a month. And Mr. Frugal, how much do you spend right now?
We probably spend between 5,000 and 6,000 a month.
That's it?
Yep.
Who pays for health insurance? Like, are you guys both on Medicare? Or do
I'm
you
on
get it through
Medicare
work?
now. She has health insurance through her company.
Okay.
So eventually we'll have small little pensions.
How much?
Which should probably about, I think mine's a little over 400 and hers will probably be about 500 a month.
And those are just straight up pensions. Is there any health care option through those pensions?
No, I have to pay for a Medicare now.
Mm-hmm.
She will eventually, when she retires, have to pay for Medicare supplemental after that.
Okay. What about the money you guys have saved? You've been squirreling away money for your whole work lives. So tell us about what you've saved.
Well, we've saved well over probably about $2.5 million combined.
That's great.
Yeah, well, thank you, but
that's great.
I guess it's not that tough if you just keep saving and you just keep working and saving money. I guess it can work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all invested in mutual funds.
Mm-hmm. Is it mostly in retirement funds that have not yet been taxed?
Correct. I'd say about 80% of that is either IRA, 401k, and maybe 20% is Roth.
Okay. And what about just money that's accessible that's already been taxed, whether it's a brokerage account or it's a savings or checking or anything like that? What do you got in safe stuff?
Probably about I'd say about 250,000.
Okay, great.
That's with individual
non-retirement
or bank account.
Okay. So that's like 250. We call it non-qualified or non-retirement. Okay. This all sounds great. Now, what is the impetus to you getting in touch with us? Because it sounds like you're in fantastic shape.
Well, that's where we're not sure. I mean, we're always worried about what could go wrong. Can we afford? I think we can when I try to do the math, but can we actually afford to retire based on the majority of our money is in 401ks, Roths. So to me, it's like the stock market.
Yeah.
So the stock market's unpredictable. And, I know over time it's gone down, up, and then over time it's gone up.
Here's the good news. It goes up much more than it goes down.
Right.
So here's the thing. Just by my quick tally, between your Social Security and your wife's Social Security and the two small pensions, that gives you $71.50 a month, right?
Right.
And that means that you said you needed, let's say we're at $6,000 a month. So obviously the $71.50 is the gross amount. So let's pretend that we tax that. You live in Virginia. Are you going to move anywhere else? You're staying there, right?
Right.
Okay. So let's say that out of your gross income, you clear $5,000 a month. That just means that you will need to be pulling money out of your investment accounts, your $2.5 million, to cover that extra, let's say, couple $1,000s. You'll need to pull a couple $1,000s a month out of your combined retirement and non-retirement accounts. Let's talk about the retirement accounts for a second. When you turn 73 and maybe 74 for you, you're going to have to start taking money out of these accounts. So one idea would be if you guys is she going to be done with work at the end of this year or not?
It's up in the air right now. It might be maybe the end of next year. I think she's still going to work another half a year.
So what I would do is first and foremost that, as your income is still pretty high, because even if she keeps working and then you claim Social Security, you're still going to be, making 150, 100, right? You're going to still make as much money. So what you need to be thinking about is starting to get some of the money out of your retirement account. Just take a little bit of money out. And I don't think I would be aggressively converting your money to Roth, but I think I would start to tap some of this money and pay the tax that's due. Because at the very least, you're married filing jointly. You can have up to $200,000 and stay in the 22% tax bracket. So I would at least pull out that amount of money up to, so if you say, hey, with my Social Security and she's working, maybe I won't work full time. All of a sudden we're at 150 grand a year. I would take 40 or 50 grand out of your retirement account, pay the tax that's due, stay in the 22% bracket, and pop that into your non-qualified, your brokerage account or your cash account. Use some of this money to live on. But we want to start pulling some of the money out because the dollars are going to keep getting bigger and bigger, right? So that, when you think about when you turn, say, 75, you're going to have to pull 4% of the total account out. That's your required minimum distribution. We'll get back to Howard in just a moment. If you've got a question, it's so easy. Just go to JillOnMoney.com. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Let's get back to Howard, who's on the line from Virginia.
I still have $118,000 on a mortgage.
Yeah. What's the rate?
Six something.
Did you just buy that, or what happened? How's that 6%?
No, I have had it for a while.
Okay. So what's the house?
I
worth?
just didn't refinance when I got you. The rates were low. But anyway,
what's the house worth?
Probably about $550. So what I was thinking of doing, tell me if you agree or disagree, is wait to pay off the house after we're retired and pull money out of our retirement accounts versus pulling it out now and then possibly going through getting in a higher tax bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I want you to stay in the tax bracket, the 22%, which is where you are. Whatever it takes to keep you in there, I would pull up as much as you can. And yeah, I would start to pay that down. 6% is a real number, actually. It's very rare when someone comes on the air with us and says, should I pay down I don't want to, I think you've got plenty of liquidity, honestly. I don't think you have to do this all at once, but I would start whittling that down. I absolutely think you guys are fine, okay? You have plenty of money. You'll have plenty of income. You don't spend a lot of income. You're not asking me about buying a second home, right?
Right.
You're going to stay in this house, right?
As far as I know, unless we find something better, but
what would be
right
better?
Now, yes.
Tell me what better would mean for you.
Well, my better isn't always what my wife's better is. But my better is near the beach somewhere, not on the beach, but near the beach.
Uh-huh.
It's moving somewhere a little less expensive than where I live now.
Okay. I only asked that because, I just to be clear about, what you would want. So if it were a downsize, who cares? The thing that's interesting, though, is if you think you're really going to move in the near term, I wouldn't pay off the mortgage. But if you don't, if you really think this is much more likely that you'll stay in this house, I'd probably stay where you are and not make a lot of big decisions about paying that mortgage down. I really wouldn't. But, it's fine. If this is the house you're in and works for you, it's all good. I do think that I like the idea of pulling out whatever you want to pull out of the retirement account, okay, that keeps you in that 22% bracket is great. I would even be fine. I don't know how you feel about this, but I would be fine if you said, Jill, I want to take out $100 grand from that retirement account and I'll pay the 24% tax that's due. I'd be fine with that too, because I don't think 24 is such a big deal for you. But if you want to stay in the 22, fine. Make sure you go to irs.gov, look at the top brackets. You look at the range of the brackets. So for this year, married filing jointly, The top is 22%, $201,550 rather. That's the top of the bracket. So I like the idea of pulling the money out. Some of the money can be used to pay down the mortgage. Some of the money can be used to just put more money in your pocket so you can afford to live, but you're in great shape. You're not
Where
going to
would you
blow through your
recommend
money.
putting, if I pull money out, not to pay off the mortgage, but just pull some money out?
I would add it to your individual account, to the non-qualified account. Just make it part of your investment account, and you're going to need another $1,000 or $1,500 a month once you are fully retired, both of you. You don't have to do that now.
But there might be other expenses, like
right.
Who knows? We need a new roof, or who knows?
That's right. So that's why I would put it in the non-retirement account. And I might have some of the money in, like, how much money do you think you have in cash, like bank, money market? What do you think is in there?
Probably about 80,000.
I mean, what you could do is, if you took a chunk of money out, let's just say you said to me, I could take 50 grand out. I might take 50 grand out right now and put it in a 1-year CD and and just leave it there. That's like part of your emergency reserve, so that in a year, when your wife says she's done, you're like, great, I have that extra money that we need for the subsequent year. And it's there for you. Right. I would love that. I think that having a little extra money in the kitty as you retire is a very, very positive thing for you. Because
what do you think about, we do not have long-term care insurance.
It's very expensive.
You're right. It's very expensive. And, who knows how much that's going to cost in the 5-10 years.
I don't know if I would necessarily get long-term. You're pretty close, but you are probably above the danger zone, because I know you live in a high cost of living area, right? You're in Virginia, and the cost of care is high. However, you have, as you said, like, we're looking at $2.5 million plus another $250, plus you've got a lot of equity in your house. I mean, you can self-insure. Do you guys have grown kids?
Yes. Yeah.
How are they fine? Like, just financially, they're fine?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't get long-term care for you.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. I think if you had it and you bought it, 10, 12 years ago, and the premiums were reasonable, fine. But you're not in this wild danger zone. Do you guys, either of you, have parents who are alive?
No.
Okay.
I guess that's my biggest fear, is that down the road, unfortunately, we're all going to, pass one day. But before that,
you drain all your money and your kids are screwed.
Right. The homes will drain all your money if you have to move in there. It happened to my parents. I know that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much money your parents had, but
they didn't have much. But
that's the thing. When you don't have a lot of money, then you're like, of course you're going to drain your money, because you're going to say, I'm going to spend down my assets. I'm going to spend down this $100,000. We sell the house. They use all the money. And so that's it. But you guys have a lot of money. And the idea that both of you would need care, statistically, I mean, it could happen. It would stink if it did. But like, that you both needed care for like 10 years, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. You go into, it's just one of those things where you give something up for that decision, right? And for you, you might give up the fact that, like, hey, kids, guess what? We're going to spend $1 million of your money, because we don't want to spend the money on long-term care insurance. But maybe we won't, and then you'll have the $1 million.
Right. Is there a way to give your kids, say, if you think you might have to go in a home, but you haven't made any decisions yet, is there a way to give some of your money?
Yes, but you don't think that the government is like going to let you do that without having a little look-see. There is something called a 5-year look-back period. So here's how Medicaid works. Medicaid, right? This is federal insurance for people who don't have money, not Medicare.
Right.
You would have to spend down probably $2 million or give away $2 million before you needed to go into a facility. All right.
Yeah.
Now, that is totally doable, but it ain't easy. And you have to do it more than 5 years before you need to get access to the Medicaid system. Not my favorite idea. And there are many people out there who call themselves elder care, blah, blah, blahs. And what they do is they try to say to you, hey, I have the best idea for you, Howard. To give me $1 million. We'll put it into this annuity contract. We'll put it into this trust. And then you will not have to give that money to a nursing home if you need it. two things that are problematic with that. One, you lose control of the asset. And two, my guess is, Howard, I don't know you, but I'm not sure you want to spend down all your money to go into a Medicaid facility. Maybe you'd like something a little nicer. That's what I'm thinking for you.
Right. Okay.
All right. Sound
I guess
good?
I guess my biggest thing for me and my wife is just fear of the unknown. You know?
Well, honey, I cannot. That is life, and welcome to life. It is just where we are. It's scary. I get it. But you know what? You're in such good shape. You have done a really good job saving and investing and keeping your head down and not doing anything crazy and being frugal about your cards. I do think that you're in very good shape. So, look, at the end of the year, what I would be happy to do is talk to you again and say, like, let's look at what 2025 has ahead of you, right? And let's see how much money we should take out of that retirement account. Let's see how your wife feels about working. Maybe she's going to listen to this and be like, you know what? I'm done working. I'm done at the end of this year. Who knows? But let's touch base again, because I think you really are in very good shape, truly.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your advice and input.
If you've got a question, we're here to help. Just go to JillOnMoney.com. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are trying to help you make better financial decisions. Right now, let's talk to Chris, who's on the line from Boston.
I called in about a year ago to talk through the pros and cons of paying off my student loan at a quicker rate than what was scheduled. The loan was at 2.95% interest rate, and you guys both gave me wise advice to stop with the additional payments and really kind of focus putting additional money elsewhere. So since then, it's reshifted my goals and my wife's goals of maybe moving out of our current place a little bit sooner than anticipated. So,
wait a minute. So I saved you all this time and energy around the student loan. Now you got a pile of money. You're like, oh, let me spend it on this instead, a new house.
Yes, that would be the goal. So,
I see. I got it now. Okay. Well, Chris, how old are you?
I am 35 and my wife is 34.
And do you guys have kids?
We do not have kids.
Okay. So first, tell us about the amount of the student loan that's still outstanding, because we still have to account for it.
Yeah. So right now it's at about $49,000.
And it was a very low interest rate. What was the rate?
2.95%.
Okay. Got it. And tell us about the current house. How much is it worth?
It's estimated that it's around $525,000.
Okay. What is the outstanding mortgage amount?
About $380,000.
Okay. What's the interest rate on that mortgage? I bet it's juicy and low.
Yes, it's a 3% 30-year fix.
I'm sorry, you're not allowed to move. Mark moved. He had a very low interest rate also. Okay. 3%. Are you guys both working currently full-time?
Yep, we're both working full-time.
How much do you earn together?
It ranges a little bit, but it's anywhere from $220,000 to $260,000.
All right. And you're both putting money into retirement, right?
Yeah, and so that was one of the main things that I was going to ask about is we are maxing out our 401ks right now, respectively. But is it something where we actually hold off on maxing those out and try to build up our cash surplus?
How much money have you guys saved total in your 401ks so far?
My total is about $265,000. My wife's is about $137,000.
Will either of you be entitled to a pension?
No, my wife has a consolidated cash balance plan, which I'm not sure if that acts as a pension, but it's not a huge amount.
Okay, understood. What about money you've saved already outside of retirement? Do you have an investment account or a brokerage account?
So that all that did include brokerage as well. So for out of the 265,000, 55,000 of that is brokerage.
Okay, so it's already been taxed, right? So that's what
Yes.
So another. Okay, I just want to know. So 210 is retirement, 55 is brokerage for you. Okay, and what about your wife? Same thing? Or is it a little bit in brokerage also, or just are you holding the taxable account in your name?
She has probably 12,000 in brokerage.
Okay. And what about money in the bank that you're thinking of for the house?
So right now we have $73,000. We did have some. Yes, we did have a couple of odd expenses this past year, which affected that, but it's something where we're squirreling away as much as we can.
Okay. Well, what would it take you to get into a house that you'd really, I presume that you're in this house, you like it, it's fine, but you really have your eyes on something. What is the something you have your eyes on?
So for the 20% down payment, moving costs, everything like that, we would probably need 250,000.
Okay. So you need 250. We can't just deplete all of your savings, but you do have a lot of money in equity that's in your house already. So that's kind of amazing, right?
Yes, but it gets maybe a little bit more complicated because.
Oh no, I hate complications. I thought I was just about to do 525 minus 380.
Yeah, I'd like you to not do that because
Okay.
I would really, ideally, I'd like to hold on to our current place. I think that between network of family and friends, if we were to able to rent it out, we would be able to with like really low stress and cover the costs of the current home and break even, if not have a little bit of additional income. But ideally, I would really like to hang on to it.
You hear this? All right. Well, you're going to have to just wait longer to accumulate the money you need to put the money down on a new home, right?
Well, so that's where I wasn't sure if it made. So in theory, if we were to blow out of our brokerage accounts and then cut back on maxing out 401k, like I was thinking, I didn't know if we had basically a solid enough foundation to say, okay, for the next year and a half, 2 years, we contribute to meet the match. But other than that, put all the additional money towards just savings.
Well, I mean, yes, you could do that, but you're still far off. I mean, I think that you do have a good chunk of money and you are not having children. And so this is a priority. But, I don't know what's going to happen. You could reduce it to, to just whatever, 5 or 6% where you get your match and going to kind of go on pause. But it's not going to be 1 year. It's going to be a lot more than that because you just said I need $250,000. Well, you have $67,000 in your combined brokerage accounts. You cannot save. You can't touch the savings. I mean, what are your actual expenses right now? And you said you had some extraordinary ones. So give me the kind of the what do you really need to spend on a monthly basis?
Anywhere from 8 to 10.
All right. So, you can't blow out of your savings. That's the sacrosanct. You can't, you need the 75 or 100 grand in savings, right?
Yeah.
If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. While you're there, you can check out all the content that lives there. We have 2 other audio shows, 2 podcasts. We have a blog. We have videos. It's all there for you on the JillOnMoney.com website. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's return to Chris from Boston. When you have money in your brokerage, what do you think you could save every month right now, like without cutting back on the retirement account?
So right now, I'm putting away an additional $1,400 a month towards just a money market. I recently stopped contributing to or it's in the brokerage, but I'm not buying anything with it and just keeping it in cash. And again, it's $1,400 a month, and I think there is probably additional that I could add. But it seems like we do have excess cash each month. It's just maybe figuring out the best way to use it.
Harness that. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's say you pulled back on your retirement plans for a bit, right? I mean, you know that, you probably could save another $3,000, $3,500 a month. Let's say that all told, you could come up with $4,000 a month to save. Okay. I think you could do that if you pull back on that retirement savings right now. Okay. So it's $4,000 a month. You can do the math. It's not a year, right? We need more time. You're probably looking at 2 years. Now, there's good news and bad news in this. One is the good news is that over those 2 years, mortgage rates are going to go down. They are. Right. There's no doubt. Okay. So that could mean that by the time you're ready to pull the trigger, you might need a little bit more money. Maybe prices have gone up. We don't know, right? But you could do this. If you said, I have found the house this minute, okay, you stumble upon the house in the middle of it, then I think you're going to be kind of forced to sell your current home. I would be a little bit remiss if I didn't sort of say, well, are you sure you really want to keep this house? Because there is equity in there. That is freedom for you. But if you think you can make it work and it's not going to be a big crazy thing, and you can have people who move into that house who are family members who pay market rate, you can't give everyone this big discount unless you're telling me like you have parents you have to take care of, then I think you could make this work. But I think it's more of like a two-ish year scenario, not a 1 year, unless something big happens. Like if, as you say, like, maybe instead of 260, there is, in the next couple of years, your total earnings go up more like closer to 300. And, wow, I was able to put away, 80 grand in a year, not 40 or 50 grand. So I think that there is certainly opportunity for sure. Okay. I just want to be clear that, you're making that choice around the house and keeping the current home, knowing that there's something you're giving up, which is the opportunity if you stumbled upon something right now.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Would you feel okay with that? I mean, you could always sell it, right? I mean, but if you're thinking it's a 2-year time horizon, this is what I'm going to do, you're going to squirrel away your money. You shouldn't live like monks or anything. But if you pause for a couple of years, given the fact that you have, $330,000, and then, maybe you'll have some passive income from the house, and then you start putting money in retirement again, and you're sort of back on track. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Being in your mid-30s, taking a couple of years to just sort of be very concentrated on this idea of building your home down payment fund. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're foregoing that equity for a little look-see at what it's like to be a landlord. That's okay. Right. Who are the family members who are going to live there? Sibs?
Yeah, it could be siblings or friends. Again, I have a large network in the area.
What else is going on? Anything else that we should be aware of for you?
No, the only other thing I would ask is for that brokerage account, if I'm foreseeing needing to use that, is it something, if it's 2 years away or 3 years away, do I start selling now? Do I wait and see what the market does in the next 2-3 years?
I wouldn't sell now. I would not sell now.
Okay.
Definitely not. I think next year we start to make a decision. But,
okay.
Even if we went into a terrible bear market in a year, we'll see. But I mean, you could start to free some money up, but the new money that goes in, you can also just say, I'm going to keep that really safe. It's going to be in a money market, and let's see how things go. If you're going to do some tax loss harvesting at the end of the year, then maybe I would lock that in. Maybe even, how much money's in cash in those accounts? Is it all invested right now? Is it like what is it in? Mutual funds or ETFs? What do you got?
It's a combination of ETFs and then some single companies that are not doing great.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's interesting. I'll tell you what I would do. If you're not doing great, let's say if you have single companies, you have some losses there. Maybe what I would do is I would take the loss for this year because you're making a lot of money, right? You're still making good money. I would take the loss. I would take some gains, and I might say to the brokerage firm, hey, I want to buy a 18-month CD with the proceeds. See if they can get you a CD.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Because
sounds.
you take the loss and you
like
walk. I would actually take the loss and the gains right now. I'd lock in my CD rate for the next 18 months. That'll give you plenty of time. And let's use that. Let's use your losses. That you're going to be. It's so funny when you're like, oh my God, I have losses, and you're happy about it. It's like it's great, and you should use it. You know.
Okay.
Do you guys have your estate docs done? Do you have everything that you need?
Yes, we're good to go on that front.
Beautiful. All right, go find a house, will you?
All right. Thank you very much, Jill and Mark. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Chris, you see, we saved money on that. We saved his money from paying down like a sub 3% student loan. Now he wants a new house. So, all right, you can certainly make these choices, gang. And Mark and I have really come around on this, I think, quite a bit in that I think we used to be a little bit more evangelical about don't pull back on your retirement. But when you have a young couple like this and they've already saved a few $100,000 in retirement and they're ready to have the cash flow to replenish and you want to buy a house, I get it. I think it's fine. I really do. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that helps you make better or less bad financial decisions, or maybe just holds your hand as you're contemplating things that are going on in your life that have some sort of financial impact. If that's you, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Jillonmoney.com. In the upper right-hand corner, no matter where you travel on that website, there will be a Contact Us button. Click that button. We'll get your note. If you would like to join us on the air, check the box. Mark does everything else. Of course, we do read your emails on the air, and that's what we're going to do right now. This is from Jen. My husband and I are 48 years old with 2 teenagers. We feel like we've done a good job saving in retirement funds, 401ks and IRAs. We make a decent income, but we feel like we have very little liquid cash for big purchases or cash outside of retirement. We are wondering, how much should we decrease our contributions towards retirement in order to increase saving more cash in 529s and mutual funds? This is a great question, Jen, because it does get into this concept of maybe over saving for retirement. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for you guys because perhaps you haven't done enough saving for retirement. But if you're really tight on cash flow, I put this into sort of 3 categories. 1, you're so tight on cash flow that you're building up debt. That doesn't sound like you guys. 2, you're so tight on cash flow that you don't have an adequate emergency reserve fund, meaning that you don't have at least 6 to 12 months of your expenses in an emergency reserve fund. That may be you. I'm not so sure. And the third is what you're really struggling with, which is maybe I have too much in retirement, which is preventing me from funding other goals. Now, we need more information from you. But if that's the situation that you are in and you've run your retirement numbers and things look pretty good, then I would be comfortable pulling back on my retirement and using your cash flow to fund other objectives. But again, you can only do that if you've run your numbers. Okay, that's it. That's the show. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and king of all things web. Please do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.